My name is Nella Buffmire, and I am from originally Alaska, and then I moved to Arizona when I was 12, and then I've been bouncing around between Spain and New York, and then I ended up in Texas 5 years ago, in Austin, Texas. So that's currently where I'm residing. I've always wanted to learn Spanish, especially spending so much time in Arizona, because it's so vital, and I was working with a lot of Spanish-speaking people, and I had amazing Spanish teachers in high school. And so when I decided to go to college, I wanted to study abroad, and my parents said if I didn't go to Europe with my friends after high school, I could study abroad for an entire year. And so I chose to go to Spain, and I just really wanted to be able to connect with people in my state because so many people spoke Spanish, and I worked at a bagel shop where there was about 10 Mexicans who didn't speak any English, and I wanted to be friends with them. I was working there every day, so it was important to me to make actual human connection with people. I really feel like language breaks barriers, and I feel like it creates a human connection between people, and they can find similarities and almost unite and create a community within a language, which is why I'm so happy to have found this festival. So the Spanish culture is really important to me because when I went to Spain, I lived in Granada, and in America, in the United States, everybody always tells me I'm loud, I talk too fast, and I'm way too honest. And then I went to Spain, and everybody talked faster than me, everybody talked louder than me, and everybody was way more honest than me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I fit in here. I'm not out of my realm. And so I think that's what really inspired me to learn more about the Spanish culture and really get involved in it. After living in Spain, I realized that home is where your heart is, and I hadn't really felt at home since Alaska. And when I went to Spain, I felt right at home. I didn't feel judged, and it just really was oh, languages, I want to learn all the languages now. This is so great. While in Spain, I assisted populations mainly from Africa, so Congo, Senegalese, Morocco, Côte d'Ivoire, and they were all, I worked at a transitional immigration housing. So it was in kind of the middle of the greenhouses, and I worked at a day center. So the immigrants could come there, they could shower, they could do their laundry, they could wash their hands, they could read a book. Just sit in air conditioning really was the main thing that they also wanted to do. So we would just kind of help them integrate into Spanish culture, and then we also provided food for them weekly. We also provided Spanish classes for them. We gave them internet access. So it was really eye-opening. And then while in Texas, I worked mainly with the Latin population as well as the low-income population in the suburbs. I would say the two connect just because we all have the same problems. Everybody runs into the same issues. I think everybody's problems are relevant to them, right? So your worst problem is still your worst problem. So it really taught me that you can't judge someone by the depth of their issue. You really just have to look at them as individuals, especially in that type of social work field. Yeah, so the invernaderos, Almeria is the #1 importer and exporter of fruits and vegetables in all of Europe, or as of 5 years ago it was. And so they have, in the south of Almeria, they have many invernaderos, miles and miles, thousands of miles of invernaderos. You can. What is So greenhouses, it's a greenhouse, and so they're just greenhouses where they plant vegetables and then they produce them, but they can produce them year round. And we would provide skills teaching because a lot of the immigrants had only worked on cultivating farms, so they had never really worked in a greenhouse, which is a very different ball game as far as planting and harvesting vegetables. I would say language has helped me relate because language is so interrelated to the culture that I've learned, and especially in Spain. So it's really helped me relate to my populations that I've worked with on a deeper level, and then just knowing another language or even trying to speak their language has helped me connect with them, and then they feel I'm not trying to be higher than somebody. I'm really just trying to meet you at your level and know that I'm learning and you're learning and we can learn together. The immigration policy in the United States, I feel needs a lot of work. I feel it's so fluctuating, and the policies are changing so drastically that it's almost at this point even hard to follow with all of the political changes that are happening in that climate. I would say though, it's affected the people I work with in the essence that they are definitely underserved, and I think underspoken for, and I think their voice is starting to come out more. So I would say like there's a positive change in that, because I think because of the political climate changing, that it's creating a stronger voice among the immigrant population in the United States, in my personal opinion. Yeah, so I actually studied in the immigration policy in Spain. I found very fascinating, mainly just because of the different cultures in southern Spain, how the Spanish almost want to segregate certain populations because they don't want them to be a part of their culture, and then the other populations that want to integrate with them, they don't really want them to be a part of their culture. So it's almost like they want what they can't have, which I found really interesting. But then there are definitely people who I believe are fighting for immigration and trying to make the policies better and make it easier for people to get access to services and access to benefits. But I would say the Spanish have a much better system as far as having immigrants access health benefits or access internet or access Spanish classes. I felt like, especially the health system, they really at least took care of their immigrant population more than, I think it's a lot harder to access healthcare in the United States, which is a huge issue. So I chose language literacy is unique for the topic of my presentation because I really feel in a lot of my Spanish classes and language classes, I felt like a lack of culture in the language teaching, and it wasn't intercultural. And I think after learning Spanish for 12 years and investigating the Spanish language and the different accents and dialects and such, I feel culture is so interrelated by expressions, how we communicate, how we even say hello. And I really try and incorporate strategies, games, and activities in my classroom or in my one-on-one settings in order for people to really see the culture, experience the culture, and then use the language in that cultural aspect. So the workshop is really about an open discussion, creating games, activities, and strategies in order to able to teach a multicultural classroom and include culture and language, so it's not lost. Yeah, create a bridge in a more like interactive way. I learned about Langfest by stumbling through Instagram and then looking it up, and I found it really interesting, and I've always wanted to come to Montreal. And I wanted to get out of Texas in late August. And so I decided to host a workshop because I really wanted to challenge myself and kind of experience this in a very humbling way. And so I'm very excited to be here. I see Montreal as an extremely multicultural city. I've been amazed by the different languages I've heard or just the different cultures I've seen. I think I live in a really narrow world in Texas. I go to work, I go to my restaurant, I cater on the side, I do my jobs, and I don't really run into many different nationalities or cultures in my world. And so it's been really nice because I remember my time in New York, and it kind of brings me back to this, oh yeah, I feel so much more stimulated in a city like this.